Hi there, it's John. On this episode of Cycling on a Shoestring, we're going to talk about the ups and downs of mountain biking. Welcome back to Cycling on a Shoestring, and I've been mountain biking for about 30 years. And if you've been doing the same, you're probably old school like me. You probably started mountain biking on a rigid mountain bike. I had a Diamondback, and I upgraded to another bike. I ended up with a Kona Lava Dome, and it had an Indy S fork on it. Nothing like bombing down a mountain, right, on a pogo stick. That's basically what it was. But back then, it was a big deal. And back then, if you were going to go down some really steep trails that were rocky, at the top, you would get off your bike, open up the quick release, push down your saddle, lock it up, go down the hill, and at the bottom, you'd move the saddle back up and off you'd go. Well, things have changed a lot. We're pretty spoiled these days. And I really got back into mountain biking in a big way just a couple of years ago after taking a few years off. And something that was new to me was the dropper seat post. And we are spoiled these days to have something like this on our bikes. It's something that makes your riding so much more fun. You can get down on your bike, your center of gravity is lower, you can get into the turns better, and you don't have to get off the bike at the top of the hill and then pop it back and put the seat down and then pop it back up at the bottom. We're very lucky with this. Now, I bought this bike last year, and it came with a 150 millimeter seat post on it. A dropper seat post. And for me, I'm kind of odd. I have shorter legs, longer torso. So when I got on the bike, it was just a wee bit too high. And I'm talking millimeters, so I had to invest in another seat post. But after buying a new bike, I didn't want to spend that much money. So I ended up looking around a little bit, and I saw that dropper seat posts can be very expensive. For something so small, it can have a big price. I ended up finding this one right here at Chain Reaction Cycles. And it comes under basically a generic name, Brand X. It's called the Brand X Ascend. And I read a lot of reviews on it. I watched some videos online, and people seem pretty pleased with it. And I'll tell you, I'm pretty pleased as well. So let me tell you a little bit more about this. We'll get a close-up look at it, and you can decide if this is something that can help you if you're cycling on a shoestring. As I said, there's really not much to a dropper seat post, right? You push it down. You go down the hill, when you get to the bottom, you hit the lever and it pops back up. And this one does it over and over again, like a dropper seat post is supposed to. And this one also, if you want, you can keep it in different areas. It's got like an infinite number within the 120 millimeters of this dropper. It's 120 millimeters. Again, the one I had on here was 150. It was just a little bit too high for me. So this was the one that worked perfect for me. And again, it was a good price. I got it for about $230, taxes, delivery, and everything from Chain Reaction Cycle. I think right now you can get this for less than $160. It also comes in a 150 millimeter if you want something that's a little bit longer. This is the 120. Now, when I got it, it came in this neat little box right here. It says Brand X on the side. It says Ascend right down here. It came with the seat post, also the cable and the lever. I'll show you more about the lever in just a moment, because if there's one thing about this that maybe needs a little bit of an upgrade, it is the lever. I did go online to find out how to properly install it. I've never installed one before. It took me about an hour and a half to put it on the bike. Didn't find it too difficult. I would suggest that you measure twice and cut once. It is for internal cable routing only. They do not have one for external cable routing, so that's a little bit of a downer for people who don't have the internal routing on their bicycles. But I think more and more people are having that anyway. You're finding fewer and fewer that are made for external routing. Now, I've ridden this one in pretty much all different types of terrain and all different types of weather. Anything from cold and wet to really muddy to incredibly dry, and has never failed me. I haven't done anything to it since I've got it. I have gone online, and apparently you can pull this one apart and clean it a little bit, so I'm going to do that before the new season starts. Other than that, I mean, it has worked absolutely flawlessly for me. No difficulties whatsoever. Let's take a little closer look at this. We'll take a look at how it mounts your saddle underneath, and we'll take a look at that lever, something that I think needs a bit of improvement when it comes to this particular dropper post. Let's take a closer look at the Brand X Ascend seat post. As you can see down here, it says Ascend a number of times around the bottom. There's a little extra space down here so I can drop it a little bit further down into my seat tube if I want to. 120 millimeters. And looking at the way it mounts onto the saddle, pretty typical 5 millimeter bolts either side. Loosen this one, tighten that one so you can adjust the angle on the seat post. Now, if you are using a torque wrench, a little hard to get it in here. It's not going to work properly. You just can't fit it in. Just the angle of the bolts there. This side, it will work if you want to try to use the torque wrench on it, if you're right into torque specifications. But this type of torque wrench won't work. I just did it the old-fashioned way. Just use a regular Allen key. It will do the trick, and you can tighten it on there, no problem whatsoever. I've never had any issues with it. As far as it wiggling, it does have a little bit of play in it, just slightly. Not atypical for dropper seat posts. It really isn't an issue when you're riding it. It works absolutely perfect, and I think you're going to be pretty happy if you were to purchase this dropper seat post. That's a look at the Brand X Ascend seat post. I'm thrilled with this purchase. When I bought it, I paid $230 Canadian for it. It's a steal right now at less than $160. It's really worked flawlessly. Now, there is one thing I would change if I made this seat post, and it's this right here. This is the actual lever that came in the box with the seat post. You can see BX on there right now. I had this on initially on the bike, but it's a little bit flimsy, and a lot of people who have reviewed this at Chain Reaction have agreed with me. It's a bit flimsy. They could upgrade this a little bit. Again, it works just fine, but right now on this bike, I'm running the lever that came with the seat post on the bike. It's just a little bit better. Now, if you're somebody who has a 2x or 3x drivetrain, this is a 1x, they do have a lever for you, so it will fit properly on your handlebar. So you're set there. I don't know if Chain Reaction will swap out the one that's in the box for a 2x or 3x. You'll have to ask them about that. Now, if you like this video, give it a like. I'd appreciate that very much. Subscribe as well. Pass it around. Share it with your friends. That would be terrific. And if you're a company that makes cycling equipment, whether it's accessories or clothing, you name it, you can get in touch with me. Let me know about it. I'd like to review it. I'd like to look at your product. I'd like to give it a little bit of recognition on YouTube. You can get in touch with me at cyclingonashoestring@shaw.ca. Thanks for watching this edition of Cycling on a Shoestring. We'll see you again next time.